The Bobby O Show.
Welcome to the Bobby O Show. My name is Bob O. Potzner. I'm an attorney from Danbury, Connecticut. I live in Ridgefield, Connecticut, and I've got a very exciting week of shows for me starting today on September 10th. This is going to be called the Boys and Girls Club Week on my TV shows. I'm going to be doing a show right now with members of the Ridgefield Boys and Girls Club who are also opening a facility in Danbury. And then on Friday, September 12th, I'll be doing a show with the Naugatuck Valley Boys Club. We'll be doing a show on Friday in which I will be talking about their activities. It's near and dear to my heart because I was a member of the Shelton Boys Club many, many years ago. Boys and Girls Club has been a part of my life for many, many years, and I'm giving back today to have the first of our two shows involving Boys and Girls Clubs in Ridgefield, Danbury, and in the lower Naugatuck Valley. Today I have four guests with me, but before I introduce the guests, I want to play for you a video that's 4 minutes in length, talking and showing about the Ridgefield Boys Club and what's going to be happening in Danbury. Directors, take it away, please.
For nearly 90 years, the Boys and Girls Club of Ridgefield has been more than just a place to go when school is out.
It's been a second home, a place to grow, a safe place where kids are encouraged to be exactly who they are and inspired to become who they're meant to be.
Since 1936, we've helped shape confident leaders, compassionate friends, creative thinkers, and bold dreamers.
Each year, over 3,500 young people walk through our doors, from curious first graders to driven high schoolers, all finding a place to learn, lead, and succeed.
At every age and stage, the club meets kids where they are, sparking creativity, building confidence, and helping them navigate life with purpose.
At the club, we make kids feel seen, heard, and known. All those kids feel that every time they come here. Club is not just a building, it is a home, a community. Everyone knows each other, loves each other, and makes sure that we take care of each other. I know that better than anyone. I grew up here at the club, came here through elementary school, middle school, and high school, and I'm now working here full time. This club is just a home. And I will always and forever be a club kid, and my great future started here.
This isn't just childcare. The Boys and Girls Club is our home away from home. My kids have built friendships, feel a real sense of belonging, and the staff has been a true part of our family.
From homework help and healthy meals to first jobs and college prep, we're here every step of the way.
Because every child deserves support, every child deserves a safe space, and every child deserves the chance to thrive, regardless of the circumstances that surround them.
When I first came to the Boys and Girls Club, it was a place I immediately felt accepted. I was greeted by people by my name. They were waving at me, huge smiles. I immediately felt like I belonged here. It was a place where I finally gained confidence. People believed in me, and so I gained the skills to become a leader.
I've been coming to the club since I was in first grade. I've always looked up the staff like Tristan, and now as a college kid, the club is one of the first places I come back to when I come home. Everything about the club has made me a better person.
And now we're answering a new call. For years, families from Danbury have joined us each summer, seeking a place for their kids to grow, learn, and connect.
But we know that these kids deserve more than just a summer camp. They deserve a place to call their own, a safe space full of opportunity and support all year round.
That's why we're bringing a full-service Boys and Girls Club to the heart of the Danbury community, a place where smiles greet every child at the door,
A place where trusted adults cheer them on every step of the way.
a place filled with laughter, learning, and big dreams.
A place rooted in the Danbury community and built for great futures.
We are absolutely thrilled to see this vision become a reality at the Danbury Community Center, and we cannot wait to serve all of the children and teens who need us in Danbury.
I'm so grateful that we'll have the opportunity to attend the Boys and Girls Club in Danbury, Connecticut. For years, we have come to the Ridgefield Club and we've had so much fun. It's a place where my children feel safe, they have a lot of fun, and they're always encouraged to be their authentic selves.
I love the Boys and Girls Club. It's fun. I really like the staff at the club because they're always really nice and supportive.
They don't just tell you to do your best, they help you get there.
I love the club because there's a lot of fun activities.
I've met some of my best friends here.
My favorite room in the Boys and Girls Club is the Tween Center because it's kind of like gives 5th graders just their space.
Club's like a second home, and I love coming in every day and seeing all the smiling faces.
I love it here.
Great futures are waiting to be built.
Together, we can set every child on the path to their own great future right here in Danbury.
The smiling faces I saw in that video tell the whole story. Every single child, even the adults, always had a smile on their face. I'm actually tempted to leave right now and go play my favorite game, Bumper Pool.
Right.
I love Bumper Pool. I had that angle all worked out. But anyway, we have 4 great guests with us today, some of whom you've seen in the video. And I'm going to introduce them right now and then have them introduce themselves. We have Mike Flynn, Kristen Concalves, Jeff Pitlak, and Tricia Bossity. So why don't you go one by one. I'll start from my right and go down the aisle and tell us a little about yourself and what you do for the Boys and Girls Club.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks for having us today. My name is Mike Flynn, as Bob said. I'm the president and CEO of the club, the organization I've been with for almost 24 years. So started right out of college as a program, actually intern, and worked my way up, kind of grew with the organization as we've grown significantly over the last 20 plus years. So have been the president and CEO for the last 12 years and serving a role where, board development and working with our board of directors is very important, fiscal oversight, donor relations, things like that, as well as kind of having the overall vision and scope for the organization is kind of my primary role.
And I'm going to get into more detail about the things you talked about, including fundraising, because all those beautiful projects I saw in the video must cost some money. And we'll get to that in a few moments.
Thank you.
Jeff?
Yeah, how you doing, Bob?
Fine, thank you.
Good. So my name is Jeff Pitlak. I am going to be the new Danbury Clubhouse Executive Director. I started in the Boys and Girls Club movement in 1999, working for the Boys and Girls Club of Lower Naugatuck Valley, which you're going to work with on Friday. Spent almost 9 years there as a teen and program director. And then moved on to Stanford for 15 years as an operations director, and most recently Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater New Haven as a COO and interim CEO, and now have an opportunity to come to Danbury, known Mike for as long as we've been involved in the club, and Kristen as well, and so I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a great opportunity, and I think I'm ready to get going.
And we have a mutual friend, don't we? Mike Catella.
Yes, Mike Catella. Yeah.
How do you know Mike Catella?
So Mike Catella is my mentor. I worked for Mike for almost 20 years. He hired me at the Lower Naugatuck Valley Club, and then I went out to Stanford a couple years before he did. But I was out there as the program director, and he came out and became the executive director. We spent almost 11 years out there during that time in Stanford, and we did some good things out there, including opening a second location and building a teen center. Wow.
And a great basketball player, too.
And a very good basketball player.
Kristen?
Yeah.
Hi, Bob. Mike Catella is a legend in Boys and Girls Clubs, actually. I think he's a mentor to a lot of us. I'm Kristen Concalves. I am the Executive Vice President at the Boys and Girls Club in Ridgefield. I've been there 17 years now, going on my 18th year. I started as an intern. And fell in love and just never left. So I've done everything from working with the youngest mini members, starting that program actually for kids going into first grade, worked very closely with the high school kids in the Keystone Club, fell in love with working with them actually. That really solidified my decision to stay within the Boys and Girls Club movement, which was shocking actually because I came from a preschool background. And now I think within the past 5 years or so, I've really gotten into the development and the strategy behind our mission and what we do, and serving more kids more often, and raising awareness and spreading our mission, and really just explaining the importance of having a place for kids to go when school is out.
And I note that you have a new program called Teen Mates Club. Is that part of the
Teeny
Boys?
Mate, yes.
I saw that on the website and I said, wait a minute, what is this Teen Mates Club? Tell me about that.
I love Teeny Mates. So part of my brain still works in programming. I think it always will, in developing these new programs. And so a lot of where Teeny Mates came from is filling that out of school time and that space during the 9 to 2 time. We already have a few programs in partnership there where we partner with Ridgefield Public Schools, and we have like the transition program for 18 to 23 comes in as a work site. The A School does their gym, use.
A School being?
The alternative school in
you.
Ridgefield, sorry, thank you. And then I have my own 2-year-old, and I realized that we have some pretty dynamic youth development professionals. And so we started a Teeny Mates Club. It starts again next week. It's for caregivers, so babysitters, grandparents, parents, older siblings, whoever can come with anybody essentially not in kindergarten. So, from walking age all the way to about 5 years old. And we do different things and different themes, and we explore the club, and it's a great way for them to be at the club. And what's really cool is now we could say that we serve kids all the way until beyond college, to be honest with you. So from 1 year old until young adult. So it's fun.
I knew you were the right person to ask.
You were. You knew
about
it.
the Teeny Mates.
We make a big mess though. So if you're going to come to Teeny Mates, just be prepared to get a little messy, because if you're not making a mess, you're not having fun. So, especially at that age.
My wife would say I'd make a mess too.
Yeah.
And finally, last but not least, we have Tricia Bassity, who's a board member. Tricia, tell us about yourself a little
Thanks,
bit.
Bob. I also am a Ridgefield resident. I raised my boys in Ridgefield, love the town. I'm a board member for the Ridgefield Boys and Girls Club, and I'm helping with the Danbury expansion. I've also worked for the last 15 years with the nonprofit organization in Danbury that serves children and families. And I am so excited for this Danbury expansion because I've seen firsthand the need for us to come in Danbury, and it's going to be great. It's going to be great for the city, great for the kids. I'm really excited for it.
And I have a show a week from tomorrow, Thursday, with the mayor, Mayor Alves, and I have Farley Santos. I'm going to ask him about the new Boys and Girls Club coming to Danbury. Kristen mentioned, and you all have mentioned, and Jeff did as well, about your mentorship program and your leadership program. And I'm very impressed to see how the Ridgefield Boys and Girls Club, and I'm sure Danbury, when you develop it, which we'll get to a little later in the show, has worked hard to have kids come when they're little youngsters to now develop into mentors and leaders. And I'm going to surprise you by having my director put on a show. We had a show, my show number 70, which was 2 people who won awards in 2025. Their names were, I'll get them for you. So Ronan Hanley won the Junior Leadership Award, and Jake Travaglini, who won the Senior one. We're going to have that. If you can show it right now, we'll discuss leadership development in the Ridgefield Boys and Girls Club.
So the first person to my right is a longtime club member, has been going to the club since he was very little, is now going to be a graduating senior. Yeah. And he is our 2025 Youth of the Year, which is the biggest award we give out at the Boys and Girls Club. And to his right is Ronan Hanley, again started at the club at a very young age, currently a sophomore at Ridgefield High School, and he was our Junior Youth of the Year, which is, I guess, the second biggest award and piece of recognition that we give out at the club. So two great examples of the Boys and Girls Club right here.
And that was just a small part of the discussion I had with those 2 young men. But I'm going to open this up to everybody. I'll start with Mike. Talk to me a little bit about how you combine the first video where we have these kids saying in 5th grade, I love it, I have a good time, made my best friend here. How do you combine that with teaching kids and rewarding leadership and mentorship skills? Talk to me a little bit about how, and I'll ask you, Mike, first, and go around the table if anyone has to add to that, because I think it's a very important aspect of the Boys and Girls Club.
Absolutely, Bob, and I think it's a huge part of the culture and the environment, which really started years ago. I mentioned, I've been with the organization about 24 years and worked under Terry Hughes initially, who did a great job in kind of, getting us moving in the right direction back then. But I think part of it was really establishing those tween and teen programs, the key programs being Torch Club, which is a national leadership program for middle schoolers, and then Keystone, as Kristen mentioned, which is the national leadership program for high schoolers. Once we were able to really establish those programs and most importantly have the right people running them, you know, that really can connect with those age groups, that really fostered growth in those two populations, middle school and high school age kids, which led to us ultimately doing 2 capital campaigns to build the adequate space for those kids to grow into the club. But it really comes down to having the right people. You know, we've been blessed to have really high quality youth development professionals. Kristen mentioned her being one of them. I was one of them early on in my career, you know, and we've been able to continue to retain people that, you know, really can demonstrate leadership and mentorship to those age groups and keep them, you know, on that process. So I think nowadays in the club, kids in 3rd or 4th grade are looking up to those middle schoolers every day and say, one day I want to be, you know, a middle school member at the club in that Torch Club program. And the same is true really for, you know, looking at the high school age kids and being able to, you know, one day want to be a Keystone Club member. So, you know, it's taken, and it's really the kids themselves that have been through those programs. You saw Jake and Ronan that really leave a deep impact on the younger kids and have that want to, when they get older, to stay with the club.
And
so.
When I saw in the videos, one of the people, I think it was either Jake or in your other video, said when they come back from college, the first place they come back to is a Boys and Girls Club. Anyone else want to jump in on that topic about leadership and developing leadership skills with an example or anything like that?
Yeah, I think that the thing that is special and unique about Boys and Girls Clubs and the teen and tween programs is they're programs by teens for teens. And so like the club and the environment that they're in gives them the power and empowers them to use their voice and to use their voice in a right way, and to follow their passions and their interests in an environment that's safe to make mistakes as long as you learn from them, in an environment that's okay to fall down as long as you get back up and try again, and in an environment that gives you mentors to help you along that path. And it also gives you different passions in different areas to explore it. So it's not just a gym, right? It's an art studio, and there's the homework room, there's a tech center, there's any passion that you could think of you can find within the walls of the club. And so I think that's kind of what gives teens and tweens the, you know, Mike always says they vote with their feet, right, at that age. And what that means is they're voting to come back. They're choosing to come back to the club on a daily basis. And they're doing that because of the people that are in there and the programs that are in there, and because they're being heard. And when their voices and their opinions are heard and they're valued the way that they are, they're the generation that's going to change the world to come. So.
And Tricia, as a member of the board, and the Bossidy family has been very philanthropic in our community. When I was on the Board of Education, the field we have for football and other sports was from the Bossidy family as well. What attracts you to being on the board in terms of this leadership, mentorship aspect of the Boys Club?
I would say an example is last year I judged the Youth of the Year. I think Jack was maybe in the younger group back then. And almost every kid up there said, this was my home away from home. Almost every kid said that, this is where I came. So I think when you can create that kind of atmosphere that kids feel so safe and want to come back to, then it's so much easier to start developing how do you be a leader, how do you give back in service to the community, how do you understand the importance of being connected to the people around you. And I think, as Mike alluded to it, the secret sauce to that is the staff. They are incredible with these kids. They make the kids feel loved and safe, and some of these kids, you know, need to feel loved and safe with what they have going on in their lives. So that attests to the staff and the programs, and it really allows kids to blossom. So that's, you know, one kid at a time, we're improving the world. So that, and especially, you know, Mike and Kristen's leadership really attracted me.
And you mentioned, Tricia, about the home away from home, so to speak. People, I think, have a mistake in their viewpoint that, well, Ridgefield, everyone in Ridgefield's rich, okay? And everyone has no problems, right? But Ridgefield has problems like every other city and town in America. And when you mention home away from home, I'm thinking about some kids, when we were on the Board of Education, which I was for 15 years, there are kids who get their only meal a day in the school district. And I'm sure you folks know when you're dealing with kids, it's not like you're trying to know who has what money, but you know which kids really have a tough home life, which kid has a parent or two getting divorced or whatever it is. So how do you go about, Jeff, if perhaps I'll put this to you, when you see a kid and know a kid in the club who is having personal issues and you don't want to make a big deal about it, but you want to sort of give the subtle kind of help, make sure the kid has enough money for the ice cream cone if they're going out to buy ice cream, whatever. Tell me about your role in terms of helping kids in that regard.
Yeah, so I mean, throughout the years I've dealt with that a lot. Have had a number of kids that have had that type of need, and the biggest thing is, as you mentioned, is we're not drawing attention to it for everybody to know, hey, we're gonna help this child out a little bit more than somebody else. It's really and it may not be the directors directly the ones doing it. Sometimes the staff notice it and they have that relationship. So it's really that as Mike and Trish and Kristen all talked about, having the right staff in the club makes a huge difference, right? So they could see where those needs are and really work with the kid and just talk with them. A lot of what we do is mentoring through the actions that we're doing and the activities that we're doing. It's not it's not that your typical, hey, we're going to sit down and talk one-on-one every day about how you're doing. Maybe we're playing a game of pool with them, and just having conversation about how things are going at home, or how's school going, or how's sports, whatever. And you get to know the kids that way, so you kind of get a feeling of how are they doing, how are things really going at home, and from a financial standpoint, if parents need assistance, we don't ever want to make that a burden or a reason why a kid can't be a part of the club, right? So that we will find funding to make sure that they can come, and that's.
Can I add on to that?
Well, actually, yeah, go ahead, add on to that. And then
I was just going to say, I've always said the club is kind of the great equalizer. And when everybody comes through the door, no matter what their background is, no matter what end of the spectrum they're on, no matter what their home life is like, they're all treated as equals. And so if that means that there's a field trip opportunity, every child's afforded that opportunity to go on a field trip. If there's, summer camp coming up or whatever it may be,
they'll find a way.
They'll find a way. We'll do whatever it takes to make sure that every child is afforded the exact same opportunities.
Before I transition to Danbury, I want to do one more thing, since Kristen mentioned the relationship between the club and the school system.
Yeah.
I've had Sue De Silva and Liz Hanaway on the show. They're superintendent and assistant superintendent of Ridgefield High School. And you mentioned a connection between the two. Would you like to mention a little bit, any of you, in terms of how you interact with the school district for the benefit of the students? Anybody?
Yeah, I can talk to you a little bit on that, Bob. I think we've got a deep relationship with the Ridgefield Public Schools. I think we've really aligned as a true partner of the public schools, and it's been significant in our growth and our ability to serve the community, to serve the kids. Susie, Dr. De Silva, has been tremendous in her 5 or 6 years, really taking what was already a strong partnership and making it even stronger, spearheading things like our before school program, which was a partnership program that now sees 60 to 70 kids every morning. The transportation component has been what's really allowed things to flourish at the club. We have transportation from every public school to the Boys and Girls Club every day. The same is true now for the morning program. Those children that are in that program get transported from the club to school every morning. So that's a big part of what makes it all work. And we're hopeful. We've had some initial conversations with the Danbury superintendent, and we have another meeting coming up to really start to work. I know we're going to get to that, but to work some of those conversations out, hopefully, on how we can have the same type of partnership. But the Ridgefield Public Schools have been tremendous. And each individual school, we're in regular contact with the principals, with the guidance counselors, and a lot of times that's who gets kids to us. We mentioned kids going through hardships. We have almost 40% of our population in Ridgefield that's on some kind of financial aid, program. That as Jeff said, the club helps. So whether it's financial aid and hardship there, or kids that just need extra attention that maybe haven't discovered the Boys and Girls Club yet. It's a guidance counselor or a principal that typically picks up the phone and calls us.
I want to come back to this if we have more time at the end, because I want to transition now to Danbury. I'm actually shocked that there wasn't, and was shocked that there was no Boys and Girls Club in Danbury. I know you're going to the old Boughton Street Y, where I used to play basketball 3-4 days a week with all kinds of different people playing. But now you're going to do something in Danbury. And I want to go to Tricia, who's mentioned her involvement in a lot of activities in the Danbury area. And talk to me a little bit about, Tricia, about why you think it's important to have a Boys and Girls Club in Danbury, and any thoughts you may have as to how the club could help in the city of Danbury.
I think for Danbury, it's a little bit different population than Ridgefield, a little bit different need. And I think to have a safe space for these kids, and many of them, they haven't had mentors, they haven't had people to look up to show them a way. I think the opportunity to help kids is going to be incredible in Danbury, just because a lot of the services don't exist. And I think there's maybe more working parents, more opportunities to really give these kids all the programs and leadership and skills that we do in Ridgefield. I think is more of a need in Danbury, and thus more of an opportunity to have greater success.
Tricia, you mentioned some activities you've been involved with in Danbury itself that probably alerted you to some of the needs in Danbury that exist. Can you talk a little about the services you think that can be provided through the Boys and Girls Club that's going to help some of the things that you've seen in your roles in Danbury?
I think the biggest is the ability to provide, one, a safe space. I think that's so important, and to have staff or little kids looking up to the middle schools and the high schools that are showing a mentorship, a leadership skill. I'm not sure that they have always that. Danbury is a much bigger school system. It's a bigger population. So I think that all the programs in place in Ridgefield that we can bring to Danbury are going to really have a huge impact.
Kristen, there has been a connection between Ridgefield and Danbury, at least in the summer camps, right?
Correct.
So how has Danbury been involved and been welcomed with open arms in Ridgefield? How has that worked so far?
So I like to say that even though we're the Boys and Girls Club of Ridgefield, we're very regional based. So we serve kids already currently from Danbury, Bethel, Brookfield, that side, all the way to like South Salem, North Salem. We've had a few kids from Stamford. And Danbury, for a long time, has been, as a 2-on-1 United Way agency, is usually how people have found us. But that population has grown over the years, especially in the summer. And as long as Mike and I have kind of been in that upper management position with the blessing of the board of directors and the amazing directors that we have, we've always welcomed them with open arms. As long as they can get to the club, it goes back to that, great equalizer. Every opportunity that we have in Ridgefield is available to them. And so summertime's a big part of that. They come at 8 a.m. A lot of times they're there until 6 p.m. They're getting 2 or 3 meals a day. So I would think in total we're probably serving about 300 kids a year. And we've been doing that for at least 10 years. From Danbury, yep. During COVID, we were limited that first summer to how many kids that we could serve, and I would say about half of them came from the Danbury area, and we just love seeing them year after year. I was born and raised in Danbury. I went to Danbury schools. Go Hatters, side note. Sorry, Ridgefield Tigers. And so when I first stepped foot in the club in 2008, I actually remember calling my mom on the way home and saying, I cannot believe Danbury does not have a Boys and Girls Club. And so it's always been, I think, a passion and a vision of mine personally. Mike grew up right on the Bethel line of Rogers Park, so I think for him it's very personal too. And so at the time, up until now, we've always brought Danbury, Bethel to Ridgefield because that's what we could do. And then this opportunity kind of presented itself very fast at the end of last year. And again, the amazing board of directors was behind us 100%, and it was a no-brainer for any of us. This is something we need, absolutely.
One of the great things about Danbury is it is a very diverse community.
Yep.
And I think diversity, to me, is very, very important. I've done TV shows about the Lebanese American Club.
Yeah.
And you remember that?
I'm a member there.
Okay,
Yep.
I did a couple of shows there with Judge Tom Sadi and
Yep.
John Jowdy. And I didn't realize a lot about the community and how my office is on Deer Hill Avenue, and to the left of that going to West Street, that's where the Lebanese community was. But my point is that there are so many different people in Danbury. It's an asset. And I think the connection between Danbury and Ridgefield is a very important connection. And I'm glad that Ridgefield has taken 300 kids every summer, but it's more important to have the facility right here at the old Mountain Street Y. And I want to ask Jeff, since you're going to be, I think, in charge of the Danbury facility, it's not yet opened up. It's opening in January if all goes well?
Yes, that's
26.
Yep.
Tell me a little bit how you're getting ready for that. How are you getting ready to have this opportunity? Obviously, day one, it's not going to be the way Ridgefield is right now, but how are you getting ready for it? What are you doing? What are your 2 or 3 biggest worries?
Funding.
Funding. We're going to get to funding. I promise you guys funding towards the end.
I mean, so that, that's the start. I mean, but I think it's building the team. I think we have a few people in place already that are going to come over with us that have been working with the Ridgefield Club for the last dozen years or so, and so that's important to have that strong group coming over, that leadership team that's going to kind of bring what's happening and the culture that's happening at Ridgefield into the Danbury Clubhouse, which in all the clubs I've worked at is very similar type of culture.
Well, Stanford, you worked at Stanford for many years.
And but as far as the feel in the club and what we do at the club, very similar to what they're doing at Ridgefield. So I have a good understanding of what that looks like. So it's building that team out and kind of strategizing on what type of programs we're going to offer and how to get kids right. I think there's a need there. It's just a matter of getting that out to the kids and families and getting them in the doors. I don't foresee that being a major issue. I think we're going to have kids that want to come and families that are willing to get them there. One of the bigger issues that we're kind of focusing and hopefully working on is going to be transportation to get the kids to the club, making sure that they can attend. So that's something we're going to be working with the superintendent on next week, and we'll see, how that works out, and kind of go from there. So
my office manager, my law firm, is a member of the Board of Education, so that might be a good contact for you in this regard. The young lady in the video we saw who said she made her best friend at the Ridgefield Boys and Girls Club. Well, the fact you're going to have a Danbury facility, that kind of reaction and relationship is going to be very, very important to how young kids develop, and it's going to be a great, wonderful thing. What do you think that Ridgefield's going to contribute to help Jeff? What can you guys do to help Jeff get off to a great start?
Yeah, well, I think, listen, Jeff is part of our team. I think, it's one organization, which it's a strong organization. Obviously, you heard from Tricia, one of our key board members. We have 18 board members committed to this. We have our, Kristen and myself as the, the head of the leadership. So it's our organization. Jeff is with us. This is obviously a huge priority for us. And, we have a great management team under us, so there's not going to be any worry for Ridgefield. We have leadership that is going to continue to run that at an extremely high level, while our board and myself and Kristen kind of get, with Jeff and get him going. So, it's one organization, which I think really sets us up for success. And, we've done things, big things before. This is obviously another big step. So, working with the community is the next step. I think, the Boys and Girls Club of Ridgefield is so successful because the community believes in what we do for kids every day, and they support it, financially, and they open up doors for us and connect us to folks that can help. And that's really our next step in Danbury. We're going to be putting together a leadership council with members from Danbury, and that's going to happen in the next couple of weeks here, and call on them to help us open doors and connect, and really, as Jeff mentioned, the funding is the first step, and working on securing what we need to make sure this isn't something that, this is a long-lasting effort. We want this to be something that's, well into the future and generations to come, and so that's an important step.
With you guys involved, it has nothing but success written on it, but I want to go to funding because the show goes quickly, as you know. But there's been a few people sending me some notes about questions to ask, and I really want to stick with what we have now. But if I get a chance, I may do one or two of the questions. But I want to go to funding. In this day and age, the economy's a little tight, and funding is hard to get. And the great programs that you have, that you operate now in Ridgefield, that you're going to have in Danbury, are going to take monies, and also the capital development project is going to be important. So I'd like to direct, I don't know, maybe to Tricia, because I know you have a little bit of time pressure here, and I want to make sure you get your comments in here. Talk to me a little about the funding and how you envision fundraising going through to help develop this very important project in Danbury.
Well, Mike and I spoke about it earlier in the week. I think it's important to get not only the public figures involved, but the big business leaders in Danbury. This is, in their backyard, and this is, in my opinion, no better place to put your donation dollars. And if we can get some of them on board, not even only for funding, but maybe for mentoringship and internships for the older kids, I think that could really help, along with the mayor and the superintendent of schools, to really build a solid foundation for this council that we could really go out and make a big pitch to everybody in Danbury to help with funding.
It has to be successful. It will be successful with you people involved, but it's important for Danbury to be involved. Kristen, I'll open it to you. Give me an example of a fundraiser that is now being done by Ridgefield that might be done as part of the project, or maybe won't be done. But give me some ideas how you raise some money. Give me one from you, and I'll go around the table.
Yeah, so I think we're launching kind of a starting campaign right now. So we're launching a $1.3 million, I guess we'll call it a capital campaign for the Danbury Clubhouse. And it's a lofty goal, but we're confident that, with the Danbury community behind us, we can definitely achieve that goal. I think it's important to note that there is no, federal funding that's guaranteed, or state funding or town funding that comes from Danbury or Ridgefield. The town of Ridgefield is a great partner, but they don't provide us funding on a yearly or annual basis. And so we want to bring this Boys and Girls Club into Danbury. We're excited about it. We have the support and the programming and the tools and everything that's necessary. We need the community's help rallying behind us to help fundraising, and some different ways to do that we've done and been successful. Honestly, is annual giving. Some grants from corporations are always good. We do a biannual gala in Ridgefield that I'm sure we'll eventually bring to Danbury as well. And even small little parties for youth, we like to call them. So they're like little cocktail parties or gatherings that people can have with their friends, and you ask them to make a contribution, to the Boys and Girls Club. And that with every dollar that's invested, actually $10.32 goes back into the economy when you invest in a Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah, explain that for a second. So when I was on the Board of Ed, there was an old expression we used to say, which was, if you think the cost of education is expensive, try the cost of ignorance.
Yep.
Now, I'm not saying it's that dichotomy from what you're talking about, but I think what you're saying essentially is that the money invested in Boys and Girls Clubs to develop leaders like Jake and Ronan, et cetera, and having kids maybe take the right path versus the wrong path, so to speak, saves the economy. That's talking about that kind of thing?
Yep, so it's a return on investment, essentially. So for every dollar, there was a big study by Boys and Girls Clubs of America and in Connecticut. For every dollar that is invested in Boys and Girls Clubs, the return on investment is $10.32. And it's in different ways helps the economy, right? So it's creating leaders that then go out into our workforce and providing them with the life skills that they need, which, if you're into education, some of those life skills, that's a hot topic right now. Some of those things are missing when our seniors are graduating. So it's those types of things, building like the leaders and the mentors. And it's being a safe place where kids can be while their parents are out working. That helps boost the economy. It's being a place where teenagers and high schoolers can be themselves in a safe space, and then they're not out in the community doing other things. So it's all those twofold type of investments back into the community. When you invest in children, you quite literally are investing in the future of Danbury, Ridgefield, and beyond.
Turkey trot. What's a turkey trot?
This is his first year, so he may not know.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I know
but
what
Mike
it
is the turkey trot guy.
Okay.
He's been running the
Are you
turkey
saying,
trot
are you
for
saying
many
Mike
years.
is a turkey or runs a turkey trot? I'm just saying, Mike.
A little of both.
Tom the turkey.
I have a very dry sense of humor, you guys already know that. Tell us, Mike, about the turkey trot. I know that because our firm, my law firm, Collins Hannafin, has always been a contributor to that and other activities from the Boys and Girls Club. Chris Letter, my partner, law partners on the board, I believe it is.
Yep.
But tell us about the Turkey Trot. What's that all about?
The Turkey Trot's been one of our largest fundraisers for, I think it's 40 plus years now at this point. We had our 40th a couple of years ago, so I think it's 42, 43 years ago. At the time was a boys club of Ridgefield fundraiser that, you know, I'm not sure the numbers it used to make, but it's grown into one of the biggest 5Ks, and there are a lot of them on Thanksgiving morning. And so we have over 1,100 runners now, the last probably 10 or so years, 1,200 runners. And so it's a great community event. It's a huge fundraiser. You know, the sponsors that we get for it, like Collins, Hannafin, and others really set it up for success. And now with the number of runners, it's become a big fundraiser and an annual fundraiser that we really rely on, you know, from an operations standpoint.
And it's a really nice event.
Yeah.
I always believe that when you do fundraisers, and I've been obviously involved in activities of various groups, et cetera, when you have a fundraiser, and the word fun is in the word fundraiser, right? When you have a fun activity, it's not like you're giving. I mean, it's like you go on the Turkey Trot, and I have friends who have run. I never ran the Turkey Trot, but I have friends who've run it. We'd go down at 8 in the morning or whatever time it was to watch and cheer on our friends that do that. But it takes a lot of money. Like, what kind of money can you make in a fundraiser like that?
The Turkey Trot does well. I would say, you know, we are typically 70, 80,000.
Okay, but I asked the number of questions because 70 or 80,000 isn't 1.3 million.
Yeah.
And so the question really is, are there other fundraisers that are being considered to help get the Danbury facility out without negatively impacting Ridgefield? You still got to keep the Ridgefield program going. And you just did the big, beautiful project. I was at your facility last week that you did to expand that gorgeous facility in Ridgefield. What other big things do you have planned? Do you know right now, or?
Yeah, I think that, you know, the events are, you know, things that we will build, I think, as the years go on. You know, obviously our gala, our Turkey Trot, our corporate golf outing, they're significant fundraisers now that have taken many, many years to get, I would say, the point of impact that they are. I think Kristen mentioned, I think, you know, this type of a campaign would be, you know, really looking for support, whether it's individual support, whether it's foundations, corporations, as Trish mentioned, as well as public monies, you know, and Jeff's got a lot of experience with that coming from his time in Stanford. And
excuse me, Becky, you see on the screen right now, that's your website?
That's our website, yeah.
Okay. So if someone wants to learn more about both, right now it's just the Richfield website, there's not a Danbury website yet?
There's information on that on our website that will lead to that.
Yep. So that's the website. So if someone wants to learn more about, number one, what your programs are, that's how I found out about the teeny tween. Yeah, I said, wait a minute. I think also I have a 3.5-year-old grandson, and so, but he goes to Westport with my wife. My daughter's a teacher, but I just see him every day with his backpack or whatever, and I look at it. So that's the website that can be shown, and I think that's very important so that people can develop contributions and learn information, et cetera, to help us and help you to develop the program. So talk a little bit about what's on your website that people can see that might be helpful. Jeff or Mike, either one, talk about what's on the website.
Yeah, I think the website gives really critical information with the mission and what we do for kids. You will see a Danbury Clubhouse piece that's already on there, which kind of goes into you know, what we plan to do in Danbury, where the location is as Bob said, the old Boughton Street Y on Boughton Street will become the Danbury Clubhouse in January. And then it talks a little bit about the need. Kristen and our board and myself and Jeff are developing more to the campaign, but there is a link that you can directly support the Danbury Clubhouse and the initiative, and it will go right to that effort. You know, so that'll be expanded upon, I think, in the next couple of weeks. But you know, if you go to that site, it'll be regularly updated, particularly when we get, you know, this council formally together and start to, you know, really kick this off and make it more of a public campaign.
Any comments, Jeff, about this topic?
No, I think, you know, as Mike and Kristen both touched on, you know, this campaign, this kind of startup campaign is going to be key to getting us off the ground and running. You know, so I think that's going to be one of our big pushes right now.
I want to transition to another topic, and that is, you've all been members of the Boys and Girls Clubs in your day and lifetime, so have I, as I mentioned before. I'd like to go through, from each of us, a memory or two that we've had when we were in a Boys and Girls Club activity. I think I mentioned to you guys offline that the Yale-Colgate football game was a big deal from the Shelton Boys Club. We'd go there, and the tickets were supplied by Yale University, and we'd sit under this big scoreboard and have a great time. And I can remember the story I told also offline, which was that Williamson from New Haven came to, and he was a great basketball player, became a professional, and he went to the Shelton Derby Boys Club and he scored 68 points in 32 minutes. So I have those kind of memories, playing checkers or whatever, and having a lot of fun. So give me a memory. I'll go around, start with Kristen, about a memory or two you've had in the Boys Club and Girls Club that led you to the career path you had, or just you enjoyed.
In general, yeah. So I unfortunately was not a club kid because I grew up in Danbury, but I found it. I know there was no club, hence why I need to bring a club to Danbury.
So talk about a memory you have with kids.
So you know, I could do two things. One, I think my favorite memories when I was really in the programs and working with teens was the Keystone Club, and that's, you know, that high school character and leadership group.
What's Keystone?
So that's it. Every Boys and Girls Club essentially has a high school character and leadership group called Keystone. It's by teens, for teens. There's 4 different core areas, you know, academic success, character and leadership, fundraising, community service, and and career prep, thank you. But my favorite memories are of being a Keystone Club advisor and hanging with the teens and watching them grow into the young adults that they are. I think that's what I'm most proudest of, actually, is watching them become the young adults and watch them give back to the club. So I think that's my favorite memory on the program side. But as an adult that's a mom that has club kids now, I think my favorite thing is, you know, even though my kids are in Bethel, they come for flag football and they come for summer camp, and they want to be at the club every single minute that they can. And again, it's because of the people that are in that club and the environment. And it's because, you know, every kid that comes in is welcomed as family. But it's been really cool to watch them reconnect after months and months, you know, with the kids that they met from the first summer and the second summer, and watching those reunions happen on the first day of camp, I think has been really special to see.
I've driven by many times the Boys and Girls Club during the summer camp.
Yeah.
And the noise is like a Duke basketball game.
Yeah.
I'm a Dookie, of course. And the noise, and that's good noise. It's good to hear the yelling and screaming,
Yep.
but it's not like yelling at someone. It's yelling with them, and the laughter and whatever. And then it's fun to watch, not if you're driving because you have to stay in line, but that's okay. You can wait 10 minutes. Don't worry about it. I see people honking their horns and say, "What are you honking their horns for?" But you see the kids lined up, and they're all, and the adult kids, the kids who are the juniors and seniors in high school, and college kids, you can see everyone's got a smile. Everyone's enjoying what they're doing.
Yeah.
That's a good memory. How about you, Jeff?
Yeah, so I wasn't an everyday member of the Boys and Girls Club of Lower Naugatuck Valley as a kid, but I did attend a few times. But one of the things I do remember as a kid going there, they used to have this haunted house every October, and there was a group that came in and they ran. I think it's the same group that runs another haunted hayride in Shelton now, still at one of the farms, and
Jones'
it was
Tree Farm.
Yeah, and it scared the living
really,
daylights out of me.
I really am a Shelton kid. I really am a Shelton kid.
They had the guy chasing us with a chainsaw onto us. I think it was onto Center Street or whatever, and it was So that's what I remember. But you know, for me as starting as an employee at the club, and I worked a lot with teens as well. But one of the biggest things that I always enjoyed was taking the kids out of the club, and you know, traveling with them, whether it was just to another club for an activity or out of state for a Keystone Conference or whatever it was. You know, in some circumstances, you know, it was the first time those kids had left the town that they grew up in, and to see that and experience that with them, life-changing. You know, and you know, we had some opportunities to take kids to some really great places throughout the years at the different clubs I worked at, and definitely that changed my view of what the world. You know, I traveled a little bit as a kid, but not a ton. But I left my hometown, so to see kids that had never left their hometown and were the first ones taking them out. It opened their eyes, and such an experience through travel. for those kids.
I may have missed, what was your hometown?
I'm from Ansonia.
Ansonia, another, as Pop Shortell, a name you know from the Valley.
Absolutely.
He used to call it the Valley of the Giants.
Yes.
Valley of the Giants.
Pretty good football team.
Very good football teams. Very good football teams. I actually was on a show last night with John Sponheimer.
Oh
you
yeah,
probably know.
He was my freshman coach.
He was a great football coach,
Yeah.
and he was a top 50 Ivy Leaguer of all time in sports. Mike, how about a memory you have?
I mean, there's so many, to think of. I mean, I echo what these guys said with the years I spent with the teens and taking kids on so many different trips. And, I go back far enough to, things were different then when, we would take trips. They were, things we just did for fun to get the kids. I really enjoyed the interclub things that we did, as we talked about with diversity, and we used to do a lot of that back in the day with taking kids to and from clubs, which I think Ridgefield and Danbury, we're going to really incorporate a lot of that to have kids really connect from different communities. But I think overall, for me, whether it was being a young staff member, 22, 23 years old, to where I am today, to have generations kind of grow up at the club and obviously have an impact on those lives. I mean, there's nothing else that really means more. And then you see a kid that you had at 6, 7 years old, and see them all the way through to now. They're, for example, we have 3 or 4 full-time professional team members that are now in their early 30s that I knew since they were 6, 7 years old, and to see the impact that they have and the role they have at the organization now, I would say that's by far for me the biggest, thing.
The interaction you mentioned rings true to me. And when I do these shows, memories come back. When I was at Shelton High School, we had a interaction between Shelton High School and East Haven High School. And in those days, that's like going away to Paris or something, right? It's so far away. But our high school swapped students for a day. I was on the student council. And go fast forward, when I went to Yale as a freshman, I see this kid. I said, "Hey, Mike, where did you go to high school? East Haven, right?" He said, "Yeah." And we were friendly through college. In fact, I saw him at reunion, et cetera, et cetera. And those interactions mean a lot. We have a few minutes left and show, like 2 minutes left. Does anyone have a quick success story? By that I mean, I'll give you an example. I had a client many years ago who I helped out. I can't tell you what the story was, but she had a problem. And I did a good job for her, I thought. But she writes to me about a year or so ago and said, "I want to let you know how you saved my life." And I didn't think it was that big a deal, but to her it was everything. Do you have any story, any of the three of you, in the last minute or two, of some kid who had an issue, don't tell me who the kid is, what the issue was, who wrote you that kind of note, and how it made you feel as a Boys Girls Club leader? And throw it out to anybody.
I think that, I think I like to say they're kind of like a hoodwink from God, a kiss from God, is that these stories come along and every once in a while when you're having a bad day at the club. I think one that sticks out in my mind, and there's a few, but one in particular was a Keystoner from Ridgefield, and like you said, people in Ridgefield struggle sometimes, and he was getting involved in some not so good things in the Danbury area, actually. And he came back to us 5 years later and said, "Had you not dragged me into the Keystone Club, there's no doubt in my mind that I would not be living today." And I think it's moments like that that remind us on a daily basis why the club is that safe place that Tricia talked about.
Kristen, you said at the start of the show you could talk for 2 or 3 hours.
I could.
And we're now at the last minute.
Yep.
And I want to wrap up, and I'm going to take from this show, and I'll never forget you for this, the kiss from God comment. I wrote that down, and think about that. And I would say to you, from my perspective, sitting here in this show, and the last show I did with you guys with Jake and Ronan, that what the Boys and Girls Club does, I view that as being, quote, a kiss from God, unquote. So we're going to leave this show, the Bobby O Show, and I thank you guys for coming. And remember what Kristen said. Involvement in the Boys and Girls Club is like a kiss from God, and they could use a few checks also. Having said that, this is Bobo Potzner. I want to say thank you very much to all three of you, and for Tricia, who had to leave a little early. Thank you so very much. Let's go, Boys and Girls Club. Thank you very much.